cut up a body before dumping it. Richard Watt said Michael Gilbert was found dead on a deflated blow-up bed in the family home that morning. The prosecution say he was kept as a slave in a state of terror. Mike Cartwright is outside Luton Crown Court now. Mike.
Susie, today we heard the most horrific evidence delivered in the most matter-of-fact way. I won't go into detail, but you still might find some of this report distressing. We heard from this man, Richard Watt, in court, replying to questions like who held the body, who got the tools, and who cut off what and when. He said on the 22nd of January, the body of Michael Gilbert was found in the family home. He said this man, James, his brother, seen here in the dock, told them they had to get rid of the body. He said his mother, Jennifer Smith-Dennis, seen also in the picture, later mopped up the blood. James did the cutting, he said. It took 2 hours. They used a knife, bolt cutters and a hacksaw, he said. They wore gloves so their DNA wouldn't be found. Now, earlier on we heard from a pathologist who said the cause of death is still unclear, but he was asked to consider evidence that had been heard in court, evidence that said that Michael Gilbert had been jumped on, his stomach had been jumped on, it had become swollen, almost pregnant-like, and he could only walk in pain. He said the cause of death might have been caused by what he called a ruptured lower bowel, but he said it was something he hadn't considered in autopsy. Now, 6 people are on trial, 4 of them are from the same family. The case will continue here on Monday morning. Back to you.
Mike, thank you very much.
Well, later in the programme, we're looking ahead to the football this weekend. And will it be the end of those queues on the platforms?
A best-selling author has been defending our libraries and is urging councils not to include them in any budget cuts. Penelope Lively, who won the Booker Prize with her novel Moon Tiger, made her comments at the launch of the Essex Book Festival in Chelmsford.
BBC Essex, the Dave Monk programme.
BBC Essex broadcasting live at the launch of the Essex Books Festival. For the next few weeks, hordes of famous authors will be descending on the county's libraries, village halls and theatres.
I think this is a terrific event. I think, in fact, it may have some claim to be the best book festival in the world, certainly of the ones I've come across. I mean, I've done a fair few over the years in Australia, South America, Sweden, goodness knows where.
But there are fears the cash crisis here could, in years to come, mean cuts to the region's library services as the financial fallout from the recession cascades down to our county councils. Back at the Books Festival, best-selling author Penelope Lively had a message for council leaders who might just be tempted to cut library budgets.
Please leave them alone. They are completely essential to the spiritual lifeblood of a community. I can remember the swinging cuts that there were back in the 80s. The library service is frequently threatened. It's one that's seen as a sort of frill, an extra, and it isn't.
But despite the fears in Essex, at least, the county council says it's investing more in libraries.
We've got a lot of plans in the pipeline to develop some new community libraries in partnerships with various people, including some of our parish councils.
And it's hoped events like the Book Festival will get even more people heading to their libraries. Gareth George, BBC Look East.
1,000 cannabis plants have been found in a farm outbuilding in Suffolk. Police carried out a raid at a property in Rickinghall near Diss. It's taken 20 officers to dismantle the suspected factory and gather the evidence. A driver had a lucky escape when his van went into floodwater at Welney on the border between Norfolk and Cambridgeshire. The van was on the A1101 when it came off the road. Nobody was hurt. Earlier this week, the police warned drivers not to drive through flooded roads. Dramatic footage has been released of a fire in a thatched cottage in Essex. 6 appliances were called to the house in Blackmore End yesterday evening. Most of the contents were salvaged, but the roof was completely destroyed. The fire service said they had problems with the water supply because the cottage is in a remote location. A college in Norfolk is changing its hours to fit in with the local train timetable. The aim is to help students to get to college more easily and to encourage greener transport.
Students heading for Paston's sixth form college. At the moment, they either have to catch a train that gets them to North Walsham too early or take a later one and miss the start of class. But from September, college will begin 20 minutes later.
The college is very successful and people want to travel large distances to come to North Walsham. So aligning the start time of the college with the train times makes that travel so much easier and is very popular with the students, as I'm sure you'll find out.
The change could mean some getting as much as an hour more in bed.
It'd mean I could probably have a bit more of a lay and wouldn't be so tired for my first lesson.
I have to get the buses in the morning because the train doesn't go at the right time, so this way I can get a train ticket for the entire day, so it'll be a lot cheaper for me.
Instead of getting the 7:30 train, I could get so much later, so I could spend time revising and doing coursework.
We're trying to get as many people to use the trains, being environmentally friendly as possible, and we feel that by doing this with the college we can encourage the students at their young age, something hopefully they'll continue for the rest of their lives.
The college is so keen to push the railway tie-up, it's even sponsoring the station. Marianne Missumdar, BBC Look East, North Walsham.
Another busy weekend of sport ahead. There's a new signing at Norwich, but we'll start with news from Southend United. Tom Williams is here.
Thank you. Southend are due back in the High Court next week to contest a winding-up order. It's over a tax bill. They've already paid more than £2 million to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. Southend feel that's $200,000 too much. Their off-field problems are coupled with troubles on the pitch. This season's been quite a ride.
Strapping in. Yes, this season hasn't been a lot of fun. Disputes over tax, wages paid late, winless this year. At times it's felt like things have been spiralling out of control.
It's been the most stressful period I've ever had in my footballing life, and it's been a very, very difficult season. But yeah, that's football, you know. It is a roller coaster of emotions, and it takes you through a lot of highs and a lot of lows.
Southend's manager and captain were taking time out at Adventure Island on the seafront to help launch next year's season tickets. A spirit of optimism during a worrying time. I understand the players received January's wages yesterday. February's are due to be paid next week, when they also hope to settle their differences with the Inland Revenue.
If they haven't been paid, it's tough. You know, we've all got mortgages, we've all got bills to pay, and it's frustrating. But you know, in this little blip that we've got to try and stay positive.
We have had one or two little problems cash flow wise. Everyone's sitting on money during the period of sort of September, November, when HMRC was obviously at its height. But we're past that now, and the future looks good for Southend.
They hope their financial problems will ease when they move from Roots Hall to here, a 22,000-seater stadium at Fossett's Farm, where they could be playing within 2 years. Before then, they need an upturn in fortune. 13 games left to survive the drop, starting tomorrow with the long, probably less thrilling ride to Hartlepool.
This man will be wearing Norwich City colours tomorrow. That's Stephen Elliott. The Canaries today signed the striker on loan from Preston until the end of the season. As you can see, he's a Republic of Ireland international. He goes straight into the squad to play Yeovil. One other game to mention in League One, Colchester fans have an extra 48 hours to wait to see their team play Brighton on Monday. In the Championship, Ipswich travel to Blackpool tomorrow. Town, the draw specialists of English football, were at it again last weekend. They thought they'd won it, but this goal against Bristol City was disallowed. Town have already played Blackpool twice this season, winning both times.
The game here, it could have gone either way. They missed a few chances. The cup game up there, they ended up with 9 men, and we were hanging on at the end. So, listen, it's a new challenge to us, a new game, and whatever's happened in the previous games means very little.
And don't forget, you can see extended highlights of that game, plus all of the rest of the region's sides in late kick-off on Monday night. BBC